Kamaru Usman breaks his silence on rumors of a fight with Shavkat Rakhmonov at UFC 310. Welterweight champion Belal Muhammad was set to defend his title for the first time against the undefeated Rakhmonov in Las Vegas on December 7th. Unfortunately, Muhammad has been forced out due to a bone infection. With Muhammad sidelined, Rakhmonov is pushing to stay on the card in an interim title fight, and the UFC is now actively searching for a worthy opponent. Kamaru Usman is rumored to be the leading candidate to step in against Shavkat. However, the former welterweight champ says the UFC has yet to reach out to him about replacing Belal on the year's final pay-per-view card. If the call comes, Kamaru is ready to accept, as he has in the past, for short-notice fights against Jorge Masvidal and Khamzat Chimaev. Usman said on the Pound for Pound podcast he shares with Henry Cejudo, the UFC is going to call who they think is going to be legit, tough enough, man enough, and crazy enough to step in there on short notice and go out there and possibly shock the world. Definitely, the UFC know who to call when that situation happens, and if they do give me a call, I'm gonna answer the call, get a couple things straight, and if we've got to do it, we've got to do it. I don't shy away from any of that. I've done it on 6 days notice. I've done it on 8 days notice. Hey, it's only a couple of weeks notice, but it is what it is. Would you like to see Kamaru back in the championship title picture? Leave your comments below. UFC middleweight Bo Nickal will face dangerous grappler Paul Craig at UFC 309 in New York City later this month. He returns to the octagon after defeating Cody Brundage in his most recent fight at UFC 300. Bo Nickal, a former NCAA Division National Champion wrestler, set his sights on a potential matchup with Shara Magomedov following the latter's victory at UFC Saudi Arabia earlier this year. Shara went on to defeat Armen Petrosyan, securing a spectacular knockout with a double spinning back fist at UFC 308. Despite Shara's knockout of the year contender, Bo believes he would make quick work of him inside the octagon. In a recent episode of his podcast, Bo ramped up his Shara callouts with a hot take. I would like to fight him, but it's not a tough fight, and I'd have to go to Abu Dhabi. I would do it, but I think it's not a tough fight, and also the UFC probably doesn't want that right now. Maybe they would, maybe they don't give a crap. Go over to Saudi, make a quick check, 90 seconds, fly back. Bo Nickal and Shara Bullet are two of the brightest young stars in the UFC middleweight division, both making their promotional debuts last year after impressive regional MMA careers. A potential Nickal versus Shara fight would be a classic grappler versus striker matchup. While Nickal has rapidly improved his striking, he would face a significant challenge in Magomedov, known for his striking prowess. As of now, Shara has yet to respond to Nickal's comments, but he's targeting a return at the UFC's upcoming event on February 1st in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. With both on an inevitable collision course, Bo has the chance to prove his confidence with another standout performance. UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones brushed off the idea of fighting Tom Aspinall, but didn't hold back in calling out Alex Pereira, showing serious interest in making that fight happen, especially with the serious amount of money involved in the potential fight. Jones is set to defend his heavyweight title for the first time next week at UFC 309, where he'll face former champion Stipe. This marks Jones's return to the octagon nearly 2 years after claiming the vacant heavyweight belt against Cyril Gunn at UFC 285. In a recent interview with longtime journalist Kevin Iole, Jones was asked about his next opponent. While Jon dismissed the idea of fighting Tom Aspinall, he showed strong interest in a potential matchup with Alex Pereira. In fact, Pereira wasn't even mentioned by the interviewer. Jon brought him up first.
If you defeat him, will you defend your belt against Aspinall, who has the interim title?
More than likely not. More than likely not. I feel like Tom Aspinall, he just hasn't proven anything. He hasn't done anything. He won his belt against Sergey. Sergey just got slaughtered by someone else. So it's just like, 10 years from now, it'd be like Jon Jones fought this guy and that guy and this legend and this champion and this champion. If there were to be a fight of a guy that's still on our UFC roster that would be not only financially worth it, but legacy worth it, it would be Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira and I, we're both 37 years old. Right now, I weigh about 235. I'm an incredibly light heavyweight. I think Pereira walks around at 240. And I think that fight would go much farther on my legacy than a young man who's cool today and maybe gone tomorrow.
Dana White claims Jones and Stipe won't just ride off into the sunset. They must face Tom Aspinall before it's all over. Dana might be practicing a little positive affirmation here, but he's sure of one thing. No matter who leaves UFC 309 with the heavyweight title, the winner will be facing interim champ Tom Aspinall next. Dana told TNT Sports, "I truly believe that whoever wins this fight, just competitively the way that these guys are wired, and the reason that they're both massive legends in the sport, they're not going to just ride off into the sunset without settling the dispute with Tom Aspinall." While Stipe isn't making any promises about his future until after UFC 309, Jon Jones has hinted at retirement multiple times. Still, Dana believes both men respect the sport enough to give Aspinall his shot at becoming the undisputed champion before calling it a career. When you think about Jon Jones becoming the youngest champion in UFC history and all the things that Stipe accomplished, they were given opportunities when they were young. White said, "I think that they will reciprocate." Aspinall plans on sitting cage side for the event, and he's also weighing in as the backup, although it remains to be seen if Jones or Stipe would actually agree to face him on short notice if disaster struck during fight week. For his part, Dana knows that either fighter eventually taking on Aspinall would do huge business for the UFC, and he's not giving up hope on making it happen. People will lose their fucking minds if either one of those fights happen, Stipe or Jon Jones against Tom Aspinall, Dana said. Michael Chandler recently appeared on the Shaq MMA YouTube channel for an interview. When asked if he would fight McGregor or Makhachev after a win over Oliveira, Iron stated that getting the UFC lightweight title is his priority. He also feels the need to settle the rivalry with the notorious Conor McGregor. The title is the #1 goal, but there is some unfinished business. Chandler versus McGregor, the ultimate fighter. That chapter needs to close to some point. Conor wants that fight. He's talked about it openly in public, in interviews. Obviously, I want that fight. I'm not focused on it right now. I'm focused on Charles, but it'll be interesting, because you also got to remember, Islam is fighting probably in January, could be late January. He's going to go into Ramadan in February, all of March. Won't be able to go till training camp, won't be able to fight till June, July. I'm not trying to wait till June or July. So Conor could sneak in there. We could see Chandler versus Oliveira, Chandler versus Conor, Chandler versus Islam, Chandler versus Max. The craziest 4 or 5 fight run in a 12-month period that anyone's ever seen. In addition to Islam Makhachev and Conor McGregor, Iron is also eyeing a showdown with former UFC featherweight champion and current BMF title holder Max Holloway in 2025. Fans have been clamoring for this fight, as both fighters are known for their aggressive, fearless, and striking heavy styles. Who do you think wins between Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira? Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for daily MMA news.